Supply and use accounting accounts for a commodity or a good and analyzes how supply and use change during a period. We're going to look at that now in this module. Again, supply and use accounting, more specifically, are a way of relating stocks at the beginning and end of the period with, as you see listed there, production, consumption. So production would be the production within the country or region that we're looking at. Consumption would be in consumption within the region that we're looking at. And then imports, which would be imports of that commodity into the region, and then exports would be what would be moving out of the region. All right, when we're looking at supply and use accounting, we have to define a region, which is often the country, and we also have to specify a time period. If you're looking at the above items, production, consumption, imports, and exports, they are flows and have to be within a time period. Stocks are beginning and ending. If you're in accounting, you can think of the stocks as our balance sheet items. Production, consumption, imports, and exports are our flow items, which would either appear on our income statement or our cash flow statements. We are going to give a specific example of supply and use accounting. We're going to get that from the Office of Chief Economist, World Agricultural Supply and Demand Estimate Reports. USDA Office of Chief Economist produce these reports about once a month, almost every month of the year, and they update the most important commodities or largest commodities produced in the U.S. So there would be supply and demand reports for corn, soybeans, wheat, cotton, rice, and several other commodities. If we click on that report from WASDE, here's the front page of that report. This happens to be the December 9th, 2016 report. You can see there they're giving some commentary on wheat and coarse grains. I am going to go to a specific sheet in this report, and that report is going to be the corn sheet. I am now showing, the soybean sheet. I forgot. Soybeans. We're going to look at soybeans here. This is the soybeans from the January 2016 report. So this is the January 2016 report for soybeans in the U.S. I have put a larger version of this in the PDF file at the very end of the report. We are specifically, as I'm going to be describing this, looking at the column in the block there, 2016-17 projection. This would be their January projections. You can see there that there's a column there immediately to the left of that for the December projections. So they're showing these projections for December, which they made in December, and then January. These projections are for the 2016 and 17 production year. That production year began on September 1st, 2016, and will end on August 31st, 2017. At this point in time, we have a fairly good feel of acres harvested and yield per acre. So what's going to be changing on that WASDE reports are estimates of consumption and exports. As we're looking at that report, also note that there are 2 years, 2014 and 15, and also 2015 and 2016. So we can get a feel for the previous two reports, two marketing years, as well as the current marketing year. We are again going to look at this, or focus again on the current year report. And at this point in time, you'll notice that 52.1 bushels yield per acre is down a bit from the yield estimate from the December report. That, by the way, will be the final estimate. And as we're going through the year, items will change on this report, including production, crushings, and exports. Those will be some of the bigger items in the report, or the supply and demand accounting, that will change the most. All right, let's look at some of the categories here. Beginning stocks, and now we're going to focus on the supply side of it. Beginning stocks, that in that column would be from September 1, 2016. They are estimating production then, and this would be production in the United States, so this is U.S. production, and that would be from September 1 through August 31st, 2017. Most of the production has already occurred. Harvest of soybeans typically harvest in the fall, but there will be a bit of double crop in July and June and July, that will still be on the record, so to speak. But most of the production has already happened. And then you'll see imports listed there. Imports would be movements of soybeans into this country, and you can see that there's a small amount that is generally moving from Canada to the U.S. Total supply is then listed, and total supply, as its name implies, which is beginning stocks, production, and imports. Moving next to uses. And uses include crushing, which is meal and oil production predominantly. So this would be soybeans used in crushing would be then produced into meal and oil. By the way, there's supply and use statistics on meal and oil, so you can look at the meal and oil production and then what that is used for in a separate report. Crushings, again, major use of soybeans. Exports. This would be the movement of exports out of the country. This is usually a large number for soybeans, so this would be movement of soybeans out of the U.S. Then there are seed and residual, and the total then gives us use. Use is crushing, exports, seed, and residual. Very bottom of the line, ending stocks. This would be what is available on August 31st, 2017. It's supply minus use. As you're looking at this report, you can see that it links beginning stocks, which would be on September 1, 2016, to ending stocks, which is August 31st, by supply and use. Again, let's review supply and use. It is typically for a region. The above example was for the U.S. You will use data in this course for all countries, or we have supply and use statistics for all countries in the world, or all major countries in the world. We will use that as we're looking at supply and use, and that will be our assignment 1 in your papers. So we have, while we're looking here specifically at the U.S., we have supply and use statistics for all countries. This supply and use statistic was for the marketing year beginning September 1, ending August 30th. Again, different commodities will have different marketing years, and they select those sort of to make sense with the harvesting period. The harvesting period typically occurs pretty close to the beginning of the period, and then you look at use of that through the remainder of the year. Corn and soybeans run from September 1 to August 30th. Wheat, for example, would have a different marketing year, and again, other commodities would have different marketing years. Again, the supply and use relates beginning and ending stocks. Here we related, in this example, beginning stocks on September 1, 2016. That, through addition, subtraction, works out to be our ending stocks, in this case on August 30th, 2017. Beginning in stocks are stocks and are on a specific date. Production, import, and uses are a flow. They are for a specific period. In this example, or in this supply and balance sheet, you can look at specific things. And by the way, the numbers here that I give in these examples aren't for the January estimates, but for the December estimates. So I made a slight change here. So these numbers, if you're looking for those exports and production, they actually come from the December projections rather than the January projections. So if you're looking at the slides previous to this, it's not the final column to the left, but the second from the left. We can say, look at various things. How much was exports of total production? In this case, we're projecting actually still 250 million bushels of exports out of 4,361 million bushels of production, or 47%. That's a large number and has a large impact on the price of soybeans. And how would you calculate ending use if it were not given? You would take total supply and subtract total uses. All right, so that's supply and use accounting. And now what I would like you to do is calculate that as part of our review question. I have given you another supply and use column here. This is for corn. And what I would like you to do is, you'll notice there that there are 3 blanked out numbers. I want you to calculate those for our review question. So our review question here is, what is total production? Define it. How much were exports of total production? So what we want you to do there is first calculate the exports, and then calculate those as a part of total production, and what are ending stocks. How many of them are there? All right, you should be able to fill in the 3 numbers and then answer these 3 questions. So that's the end of the supply and use module. We will use these relationships when we are looking at various production, exports, etc. across countries.